Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Game Junk Podcast, episode 185, recording on St. Patrick's Day, Sunday, March 17th, 2024. My name is Frank.
My name is Sean.
My name is Andrew.
And we're going to have a very short show this week, right, gentlemen?
Of course.
Not a lot to talk about. Basically going to be a what we played sesh, and that's really it. So the big game, we didn't have a show last week. Has anything happened in the world of video gaming?
Not really. Mario Day. That's about it.
Oh, yeah, huge. Everyone was losing Mario Day.
I'm hearing these things about Gamergate 2.0 going on, but I have no idea what the details of this thing are. So we should let it simmer for a few more weeks before we hot take it up.
Yeah, I haven't heard anything about that, to be honest. So fair enough. So we'll just get into the biggest game currently, I would say, which is Final Fantasy VII Rebirth. Yeah. I've logged about 12 hours, I'd say, maybe more. And Huck, you're fully involved at this point.
I am.
You love Final Fantasy and Final Fantasy VII. So
true.
Why don't you give us your thoughts on Rebirth?
Okay, so I did finish off Intergrade. I can't remember if I said that on the show, but I finished that off. I was about 2 hours away. So I finished that off and then went into, or intermission, I don't know, whatever it's called, and then jumped into Rebirth.
The deal, like the actual mission is intermission, which I just thought about right now is intermission, the mission you do. Yeah. And I think the whole package is Intergrade.
Okay. So I jumped into Rebirth. I'm about, I would say 4 or 5 hours in right now, which, I mean, I feel like I've done nothing so far.
I agree.
And put in so much time already. I'm enjoying it. And the world is amazing. So I just got to the Chocobo farm and did the first Chocobo quest where I've brought it back. And then I'm going to probably take it out for a ride next is kind of the next thing I'm going to do. So I'm probably right at the beginning of the game, to be honest. I did find the Nibelheim mission pretty slow, and I felt like I wanted to do more, but I was like, why would I spend my time here? And then I started second guessing, like opening chests, like should I be opening these chests or leaving them for when I come back? So I enjoyed it though, as like a nod and homage to the original iconic scene, and I thought they did a good job of that whole, town scene that happens. I don't know how spoilery we want to go.
Yeah, I think they kind of paid homage to the narrative structure that it's telling a story, and you're in a room telling them what happened, and that was one of the cool things of the original game. Like they interject in the story, and I thought they captured that a bit as well. And playing as Sephiroth in the new combat control scheme, I thought was pretty satisfying as well.
Yes, yeah, it was. And yeah, you just get that power, and that sword is just so damn long, so ridiculously long. I also thought this might be a slight spoiler, but they definitely leave more hints for you that Cloud's version of the story is not totally accurate, and he's unreliable narrator to some extent. That, you find out more about this later, but I think in the original, it wasn't as clear as they make it in this, which I think is better. I think it makes it better. And now you have this lingering question in your mind, like, oh, well, what is the true story if Tifa is sort of contradicting him subtly? So I thought
point that out really clearly in this one. And
yes,
from my own memory of playing the original 7 intro a few times, like the first disc, I never questioned whether those actually happened the way he said they did.
Yes, that's what I mean. Like once you know what happens, then you kind of know it's there. But yeah, they don't explicitly call it out, and I don't remember in the original Tifa ever saying a line that implies that. So then once you get into the open world, I thought the whole getting kicked out of Calm, the first town that you're in, was a neat new sequence that didn't happen in the original, I don't think. At least not in uh that much spectacle, let's say. And that was pretty fun, escaping through that little dungeon path to have it open up into the world, which I think was in a lot of trailers, if I don't, if I remember correctly. But that was pretty neat, and just seeing the world open up to you right there, and being able to run around, and how they place the battles around in the world, I think right now it's got a really good pace in terms of fights versus collecting things. I like how they give you the, what do they call it? The itemizer, the thing that lets you craft.
Oh,
Um,
the transmuter.
yeah, the item transmuter thing. Yeah. I think that they give that to you right away and basically say, "Hey, start adding these things." And I think the idea that they, or the design that they give you experience points for crafting everything once really encourages you to try to find those resources and craft them. There's even a couple things where I'm like, man, I should just buy the resources so that I can craft it and get the 40 experience or whatever for making this thing. And I think that's really smart because I usually hate crafting in games, but by having that little extra carrot of trying to figure it out or trying to get the resources to craft these things really drives that mechanic a little extra, and that other kind of currency um, that's
There's
going
also
on
other
there.
incentives where I think at least if you craft it once, I'm not sure if it happens on multiple crafts, it reduces the amount of things you need to craft it in the future.
Oh,
So
really? I hadn't
uh,
noticed that.
at least
That's
once that happens. I don't know if it's a constant benefit to keep crafting.
okay. There's one other mechanic which I don't really like, but I kind of like that it goes into the lore, and that's the aspect of the cushions, using the cushions at the like chocobo stops. So in Final Fantasy Remake and Rebirth, there's um, just like park
Benches,
benches. Yeah, that normally you would recharge your mana and HP at. And then once you're out in the world, there's these broken down chocobo stops that where the benches are kind of decrepit. And so you need to put a cushion down in order to get it back, which is an item, a consumable item. And I don't know how I feel about that. It's kind of like having an inn or not an inn, tent. But I don't know. I kind of chuckle just at like how it's integrated into the world and into the lore. And yeah, it's I guess I got too used to just having the free park benches everywhere and enjoying them.
yeah, I mean,
Um,
you can fast travel to spots with benches shortly after playing the game for a while. So the bench and cushions feel like a bit of a solution to a broken economy where if you can just keep fast traveling,
right.
there's obviously a time penalty to doing that. And, but it's a way of making use some kind of economic penalty to refreshing your health and mana, which so far has been reasonably effective for me. I don't find myself fast traveling just to regen all my health. I kind of plod on while I'm exploring, even if I'm at low health and using potions and spells rather than just hacking the or exploiting the respawn system or fast travel system.
Yeah, so I just got to the point where I don't think I've unlocked any fast travel, but I just got to the point where you can unlock basically the towers that show you where things are on the map. It doesn't expose or doesn't remove the fog of war, but it shows you where, what are those, like quests or side quests, or I
Yeah,
can't remember what they're called.
points of interest, I would
Points of
say.
interest. Um, and I like that mechanic too. I mean, it works well in Ubisoft games, works well here. Why why try to change it since this mechanic works so well? Works well in Spider-Man, etc. Um, so I think it's good that they brought that in since they are going open world, and it just gives you that little extra bit of direction where you're not just mindlessly grid search patterning the map, which I was doing before I had unlocked those things. But overall thoughts, really enjoying it, really enjoying the combat, though I do find that I'm just kind of button mash attacking right now. I'm not really getting deep into the synergies, any of that stuff yet. So still very early on in my understanding of the new combat stuff, but still really fun. Really enjoying it.
Yeah, so I guess the major point to comment on is the open world aspect of the game. And like I said, I'm 14 hours in approximately, and I haven't done much either because every time I get to a new open area, I am required to fully explore it and get every possible thing before I move on to the next. I will not be able to change despite my best efforts. I'm marginally checking a trophy guide, and it says you might as well do the whole area now. So
There you
I'm
go.
going to do it anyway. I might as well do it now. And I actually enjoy doing it. It's not like I find it a chore to do all the tasks. It's just like I feel like I'm advancing the story very slowly and I'm kind of losing track of the story, but I'm still having fun. In terms of open world exploration, I think it's fun. The travel on the chocobos is pretty solid, although some of the terrain elements are tough to navigate and knowing they have a context sensitive circle to traverse obstacles. I find that to be a little finicky. Um, Other than that, all this different stuff you can do in an open area, I like, especially like special enemies that you have to fight, and it teaches you like the objectives within those missions teach you different stagger requirements using assess. Um, and they've really varied up how you pressure and stagger enemies in this version of the game. And it's kind of fun finding out what those things are. So I find I'm more engaged in combat, at least than I was on my quick replay of the other game where I really wasn't thinking much about what I was doing. I have to think about what attacks and abilities I'm using. And I really love in the weapon level up menu, they've added a way to get just basic abilities that have elements like fire, ice, and wind so that you don't have to use magic necessarily. You can just use ATB meter stuff to do that, which is a welcome change. And I think all the synergy abilities, I don't get to use them that often because you have to build them up. But for bigger fights, they're pretty fun and they look great as well. So all of that stuff is wins. Only negatives for me, really. Uh, the Chocobo, you haven't done this yet. There's missions and optional things where your Chocobo can sense something and you have to like look for it with a question mark. And that system absolutely blows. It's finicky. It doesn't locate things properly. It's unintuitive. It happens a lot and it sucks. So that to me is by far the biggest point of failure in the game for me. I was talking to a friend of mine, listening to the show, Brenner, and we had a little bit of a disagreement on Queen's Blood.
Queen's Gambit?
I thought it was Queen's.
Queen's Blood? Okay, whatever it's called. The card game.
That is the new card game for this. It was not in previous games. I didn't mind it so far. I kind of liked it, but probably just it tends to be kind of easy. And I haven't lost a lot. I imagine if I start losing at this game a lot, I might snap, such as the case with Fort Condor. I've gotten to the Fort Condor missions, and even the first one I failed. I'm like, what? How can I fail the first one? Like, you're supposed to be teaching me how to play. So,
so in the first,
okay, not great.
in the first area, the Calm City, did you defeat all the Queen's games in there?
What do you think, bud?
I couldn't beat the lady, the crazy lady surrounded by the boxes. She kicked
You
my
couldn't
ass.
beat someone?
I know, I couldn't do it. I tried like 3 times. She had all these monster cards that just started killing me. Now, I don't know if it was because I tried to do her last. I don't know if it would have happened in other cases, but it seems like as you defeat one, all the others level up automatically. It's not like they stay at a certain level.
I
No.
don't.
Oh, okay.
I'm not sure. I don't want to say definitively that I know that's the case,
Okay.
but
Anyways,
I'm going to
I
lean into
I
my
couldn't beat her.
chakra intuition from Prince of Persia and say that that is not.
So yeah, I couldn't beat her, and I walked away because I didn't want to do it. But I had lost a couple times, but just kept playing. It's pretty quick to get back into it and do a rematch. And I think after you play a couple, the rules are pretty intuitive. And there's definitely certain strategies I'm now seeing that you want to take on. You kind of want to try to progress your cards as far as you can forward so that the other team cannot take away your spots at the end because that really comes into play.
And card abilities change as you progress. That makes even those decisions uh, not permanent. Like you can override previous things. So it does seem to have some depth. I'm still just scratching the surface
Hmm.
personally, but uh, in general, open world nature of the game, a success. I think the developer said they want you to care more about these characters than you have in any other game before. And I feel like it's setting up for that to some degree. And it looks amazing. Still looks great.
Yeah.
Although Chocobo, I know we talked about climbing up walls and how slow that was. And there, like, it's kind of a gating traversal mechanism, especially when you get to the Junon area. Uh, Not crazy about that stuff, but any boss fights I've done so far, really cool. There's one in Junon that I thought was great. So
And
yeah,
how are you liking uh oh what was I gonna say?
Red
Lost
13,
it. Yeah, well, Red 13, sure. Yeah, how are you liking that?
pretty good. I don't the vengeance meter that you have to build up. I don't like that you have to hold block to do it. Like I don't want to hold block. I only want to block as a last resort. So I wish dodging filled that meter up a bit. So I could be like actively engaging those systems rather than passively. But you might get abilities through the leveling up system and the weapon system that enables stuff like that. So I
Yeah.
like the character. I think it's fun.
I found I haven't been switching that often. There are two other things I just thought of that I like to touch on is that also you have five characters in your party, but only three active, let's say. But I like that while you're wandering around, you can still see them
Mhm.
attacking things in the distance. So you don't have the opportunity to actively control them, but they are still engaged there and you can see them. I like that little touch they put in there. Now, I don't know how much damage they actually do towards the fight, but in terms of the feel of the game, I like that a lot. And the other thing I was going to mention was the like happiness meter over the people's heads, which I really like. And in the first town, you kind of have an opportunity to go around to everyone and answer a question for them. And depending on how you answer it, they kind of get happy or sad. And I thought it was hilarious because I talked to everyone, I made everyone, picked everyone's happy thing except for Barrett. I read the thing wrong and I like picked the wrong thing, so I just like pissing him off all the time, and he's still upset with me, which is pretty funny. But I think that's neat because that leads into the whole gold saucer dating mechanic thing that's coming later, and I think they made a smart decision to make it more visible, and they even give you like a little prompt in like the top right window after you answer one of those questions of how you did essentially. And I think that was a really smart way to do it. Now, how's the trophy hunting going on that? Have you I'm surprised you haven't quit already because it's probably like you have to do this 4 times to date everybody.
I haven't really read up on that. I've been assured
Oh,
by the roadmap that they're all achievable. So
uh-oh,
I don't know for sure, but you can improve using synergy abilities also improves your relationship. So
Oh,
you can
okay.
always just, I think,
Just kind
increase
of
those
grind it.
via combat. Yeah. Gotta grind it out, baby.
Okay, interesting.
Gotta
Cool.
grind before you can grind. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, for sure. 100%.
So yeah, it's really good. I just wish I had more time to play it because it's a very long game and there's no way I'm going to be done it before the two major releases later this week.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, it says something when, you could put in 4 or 5 hours or 14 hours, feel like you've gone absolutely nowhere, but still enjoying it and still know there's so much game ahead. So they've done a good job capturing the open world pacing, I think, so far from what I've
And
seen.
in terms of like moments from the original game, the Midgard Sormer, the snake, whatever it's called, that whole boss fight and the result, how it was always on the like
The, the,
visible
the Pike.
in the stake or whatever. Yeah, that is awesome in
Okay,
this
I
game.
haven't got there yet. That's, I guess, I'm coming up to that pretty soon.
Yeah, really good. All
The
right.
the card game you guys mentioned, are there other games like that as well? Like, or is there just the one?
The Fort Condor is a real-time strategy game that's was in the original game that they've replicated in this in a form. And from what I hear, there's a lot of other mini games at the Gold Saucer and other areas like the Junon um, Parade, March, whatever it is. I haven't gotten to that stuff yet, but I think there's a lot of that stuff in this game. And oh, like there's the Moogle, like their shops in the open world, and then they have this weird other game mode thing where you have to herd Moogles, a Kupo, and it's pretty average, I would say at best. So
But there are
I get tired with some of this stuff.
It's just interesting because like I was
Oh yeah,
on YouTube.
there's a piano system, so there's rhythm games with pianos. I've done a bit of that so far. There's also the Chocobo races, which I've only done a very simple version. That was kind of fun. Sorry, Sean.
I tried the demo and I got to that piano thing and I was like, this is fucking hard. It's like, holy crap. But it's funny because like I just randomly was on YouTube and somebody that I guess the kids have subscribed to was streaming Final Fantasy Rebirth. And I was like, oh, I'll just throw this on. I'm curious. And all they did, like I watched for maybe 10 minutes and all they did was like card game stuff. I was like, oh man, this game, no wonder it's such a long game.
and there's a lot of other mini games just in general that are going to be in this game. In the original, there's like motorcycle racing. I think they're showing the dolphin wave race style thing, which is new. So there's going to be a lot of stuff to suck your time in and waste even more time.
I mean, how long to beat says 40 hours for just main story. That's actually seems less than
That's
I would have
reasonable.
expected, but
Yeah.
That's, I would assume, with absolutely zero or bare minimum open world exploration, which has been probably 80% of my time. So
Yeah. Yeah. That's what's the like completionist hours? Do you
I
have
think
it
it
up
was
there?
over 120.
110. Yeah.
That's still not even as high as I would have thought. I feel like for me, this is going to be 60, 80 plus just to mainline it.
Yeah. I think so too. All
Hmm.
right, Sean, what have you been playing, bud?
Well, I mean, a lot of dabbling going on. I don't know how many things to mention here, but I'll mention something that I think you played a bit of, Frank. I started in on Star Wars Dark Forces Remaster. I don't have that much to say about it, but obviously this is the same developers who did the System Shock remake. What's the name? Night Dive Studios. I know they've done some other stuff like this as well, and they just seem to have a really good feel for how to take an older game, keep it feeling kind of nostalgic and feeling like the original did, but also modernizing it to the point where it's not super frustrating to play. Although, I mean, the one thing that still seemed pretty frustrating for me in the first level is just it's such a maze. Like
You
trying
think
to
the
figure.
first level's a maze, bud? You're
I,
fucked.
I know, like that's how a lot of these early first person shooters were. They're just corridor after corridor. So
And every corridor looks the same.
yeah,
You got to map
so
it out,
that's
pen and paper.
Level
yeah.
1 and 2. Well, you can bring the overlay map with the D-pad, so it's like literally drawing on top while you're moving around, which helps quite a bit.
Okay, I didn't know that. That would be good.
Yeah, definitely helps. But I mean, level 1 and 2, I was like, this game is a lot of fun. I'm enjoying this. I never played the original, always wanted to. And I'm like, I'm going to go through this entire thing. Then I got to level 3, which is, I think, described as a sewer maze. And it is a sewer and it is a maze. And I am losing my patience in that level. So if it continues down lines like that, I may not finish it. But I did enjoy the first 2 levels, which is really all the point of these nostalgia games, right? Get a little, dip your toe in, pay $40 and pull your toes out.
Yeah, pretty much. But yeah, don't have too much else to say about it. But yeah, I mean, there's that. Star Wars Battlefront Classic Collection came out. I didn't pick it up. It has been getting terrible reviews, mainly for online issues. So just an FYI, if anybody was thinking about it.
Isn't that game basically an online only game?
Well, you can play local co-op and single player. And I think that works fine
Okay.
currently. But
So
yeah,
there is like
online
a
would be the main draw.
campaign. There is a campaign to it?
Not really. Like
Yeah, okay.
there's no story. Capture the
You
flag
right.
type
Okay.
gameplay, but you just are progressing through different levels based on scenarios from the movies. So,
Right. Okay. That's what I thought.
but yeah, I mean that's over to whoever's next.
Okay, I'll just say I've been playing Balatro still a lot. I was hitting a point where I'm like, I'm kind of getting frustrated with difficulty, but I don't know what clicked. But I've been doing at least a couple runs a day, I'd say, alternating between PS5 and PC versions. Now it now works on Mac, so that's been nice. So still really enjoying this game. Might be, I don't know if I like it more in Dicey Dungeons, but it might be my favorite like deck based roguelike. Um, and I think it's just because I like poker and it's intuitive and things make sense to me while I'm playing. But I would say it leans on the difficult side for sure. So be prepared to lose some runs.
Game of the year.
Not my game of the year. My game
No.
of the year would still be Prince of Persia, easily.
Nice. Uh, Huck, anything else for you?
No.
Are you done with Prince of Persia? Is it back at the library?
It is back in the library, but I haven't deleted it yet. I'm debating, do I wait another 10 weeks to get back from the library or do I just pull the trigger? But now that I got Rebirth, I'm not really rushing back to it.
Okay, because it might be over. It was on sale last week already for like,
Yeah, I looked. It was only like 20% off or something though, so it wasn't like a huge discount.
yeah, because Avatar was I think 40 or something. So I thought they were all that, but I guess not.
I did see that there's story DLC coming for that soon.
DLC?
Yeah,
Oh no.
I don't know if they gave a date for it yet, but yeah, there's a bunch of stuff. Oh, it looks like that'll be late 2024. They're saying there's like a boss attack, boss rush type thing in the spring, some sort of divine trials DLC in the summer, and then new story DLC later in the year.
Perfect. You could refresh yourself for Game of the Year discussions there.
Yeah, I have the
That's right.
PS4. I played the PS5 version and I can play the PS4 with to get another platinum and then get ready for my end of year list and just confirm that it's the best game of the year.
There you go. Perfect.
Sean, what do you got?
Okay, well, so I've got this game
Um,
called
I don't like where this
Bang,
is going already.
Bang on Balls Chronicles.
I am liking the
This
sound of this.
is a very strange game. I think I saw it first on Metacritic because it got really good reviews. I think it actually came out last year. Yeah, like 86 on Metacritic. And it's sort of a 3D platformer with co-op, like two-player co-op, and it's just very goofy and chaotic. And I just thought it would be something fun to play with the kids, and they have been enjoying it. It's basically you are a ball, and the world is populated by other balls that have different costumes on them and stuff. And it's kind of I mean, I guess it's a platformer. It doesn't. It feels a little bit more like a collect-a-thon type game. Like it's not a ton of challenge in terms of traversing the areas. I guess there's sometimes trying to figure out where to go is a challenge, and then combat is basically you dash into other enemies, or you can also do like a ground pound on them. And but it's just completely chaotic and silly. And I mean, I'm a little surprised at how good the reviews seemed because there's definitely some camera issues. Like it's especially if you're playing local co-op split screen, it's really hard to see where you're going sometimes. But we have been having fun with it, so I'll throw that one out there if anyone needs a family friendly game to try out.
I had not heard of this game. It looks pretty cool.
Yeah, I mean, it's like graphics wise, it's not doesn't look amazing, but it's just one of those dumb, fun kind of throwing everything, a lot of like discovering stuff within the map and just exploring and stuff. So yeah, it's pretty cool.
I know gameplay wise, it's not the same thing. It's not an adventure or puzzle game, but just the nature of the balls is giving me like stacking vibes as well.
Yeah, I could see that.
Nesting dolls,
It,
just the how it's like decorating them and building the world with all balls.
mhm.
But gameplay, it's action exploration, as you stated, and it looks pretty good. On sale right now on Steam, 40% off.
Yeah, I'm
Yep.
surprised at how many like I don't know, it looked pretty good technically wise in terms of just the sheer amount of things on screen. So a lot of animating balls out there and kind of surprised how many balls are around.
Yeah, there's a
Uh,
lot of balls on screen.
yeah. Yeah.
But yeah, it kind of reminded me a little bit of that Superland game as well,
Yeah,
just
I
in
see
the
that.
terms of the look and feel. But yeah, Frank, back over to you. Anything else?
Bit of hell diving after a brief, like, and I wouldn't say I was an active like break from it. I just wasn't feeling it. Got pulled back in, have some new friends playing and some reliable multiplayer companions, and I'm feeling the pull again. I kind of wish I could have played all day today. I had too much work to do, but I could have seen myself just diving all day long. I got to try out a mech thanks to a listener, Eric. Played with him, and he had mechs unlocked, and they were pretty cool. So see lots of potential for still adding stuff to this game, improving it over time, and still really enjoying it.
What level are
Yeah,
you
I
at
mean,
now? Do you remember?
17, I think.
Hmm,
So
way
still not
behind.
great. Haven't played that much, but
yeah, just having like a four-player group with a bit of consistency has been fun. I don't know if you've been playing with other groups as well, Frank, but like it's just you do start to feel like certain people are taking on certain roles a little bit, and not that we're like
team members tend to bring the team down, present company included.
it's always fun to
Gosh.
have that extra challenge of a crappy player on your team, but no, I think not that we've really hit a point where we've been overly strategizing, but it just, yeah, I don't know. There's a little bit more of a team feel for sure when you've got a bunch of people.
Yeah, it's still a great game. And I haven't had any issues at all with connecting and very
Yeah,
few.
I think that's, yeah, they must have ironed all that stuff out. So,
Occasionally get locked into animations mid session, but haven't been kicked out of anything. It's been pretty good.
yeah. So, I'll just mention a couple. So, like, I've been actually going to some older games, still playing through Shadow of the Tomb Raider. I mean, I'm good. Like, now that I've taken that, like, last year I was really focused on newer games. Now that I'm like starting to be like, oh, maybe I'll just dip into some older games on the old backlog. It's just the floodgates are open. I'm like, I'm going all over the place. It's bad. But I've been playing Mirror's Edge of all games. I don't know how or why I started playing Mirror's Edge, but I do remember when this game came out, which was this is the original one. I think it was
Are you
2000.
playing the original or the remaster of the original?
I mean, it's whatever's on Game Pass. I think it's the original. Is the
Remaster.
what's that?
I think it's the remaster of the original.
It's like it's Xbox 360. So I don't know what that
Okay.
means, but yeah, I mean, like it still looks pretty good and holds up. Like that art style of like kind of picking and choosing certain things are colored, but for the most part, it's just a lot of white buildings. And I guess if you don't know the game, it's a parkour action game with in first person. So I kind of remember when it first came out, it was I feel like wasn't that well received, and I remember looking forward to it, trying it, and just kind of thinking, yeah, I don't know, doing this in first person doesn't totally work. But I don't know, I'm liking it now. And it does feel like it's a little bit of a game that maybe was influential in terms of like, it feels like Uncharted in some ways, like any games that have like climbing and stuff where you kind of are trying to figure out what's the right path here. And there's games like, what are those?
Ghost
Uh,
Runner
yeah, I mean, I haven't really played that, but that
on
seems
white.
like it would be similar. Uh, I was trying to, Hotline Miami, like those kind of games where it's like you have to perfect a run, right? Like you're trying to go into a room, take out a bunch of enemies, even like super hot, I guess, to some extent. I don't know, all this stuff, like it feels like it was kind of influential on those in some way. And the wall run is kind of the same wall run that made its way through to like Titanfall and the Jedi games. So I don't know. I'm liking it, but I'm sure most people know about it and have no interest in going back to it at this point. So
Did you play Neon White? I can't remember.
I did, and that's another one it reminded me of. Yes.
Neon White is a better version of it for sure. But I remember Mirror's Edge not being that bad, although I didn't beat it. It's a decent game.
Yeah, the one thing that doesn't hold up so well is the cutscenes have like this, like they're kind of this cell shaded style that I don't know if you remember this movie, Frank, Renaissance. It was like a sci-fi animated, like I think it was a French animated movie that I believe Daniel Craig did a voice for or something. And I feel like that's what they were going for with the cutscenes, but it just doesn't look great anymore.
I've never heard of this movie or seen it before.
Hmm.
Crazy, man. All right. I'll mention briefly, very briefly, I played the Princess Peach Showtime demo.
Yes, so did I. It was rough, man.
I mean, I basically tried it. Like, do I need to buy vouchers? Should I be buying vouchers for upcoming games? And I downloaded because the Yoshi's Crafted World was on sale. So I just grabbed a few demos on the Switch, and I'd played the Yoshi's Crafted World before. I forgot. Did not buy it. And I'm like, maybe I should try Princess Peach Showtime. I basically just wanted to know, is this for children or for children and adults? And my only assessment thus far is it is for children. And well, maybe
Mhm.
it gets a little more difficult as you go on, but I think I'm okay just passing on Princess Peach Showtime for now, unless reviews are amazing. It seemed pretty trivial to me.
Yeah, I'm gonna be real interested to see what the reviews are like on this because it feels like a big misfire to me. Like, granted, as you said, I think it's aimed at younger kids for sure, but like I didn't even know from the trailers. I was like, what is this game? So when the demo dropped on the Switch, I was like, okay, I'm just curious what even this is. And the first level is, I guess, third or 3D platformer with like some very light action. Like you get that
Yeah.
sword master Peach or whatever it is.
Honestly, I didn't make it that far. I'm like, I think I'm tapping.
Well, so there's that, and the second level is you do a bunch of baking, and it is like the most basic. Like you have to hold down a button until the cake rises to a certain point and let go at the right time. And so like it was very simplistic. And on top of that, like I mean, it seems borderline offensive, like in terms of it being like, I think it's like the second Princess Peach game ever to be released. And it just seems so blatantly like trying to appeal to girls at a level that is like beyond pandering. Like, like you collect sparkle gems and you like spin around and put sparkles on people. And it just feels like, oh my God, what is this trying to say here? But maybe I'm reading too much into it. Maybe people will have fun with it. I don't know, but it feels like a
Don
big
hates sparkles, everyone. He hates sparkles.
feels like a big misfire from Nintendo. So
Well, we'll see. I feel like Nintendo's not in quite the same good graces they were once, so maybe this is where it all turns, baby.
could happen.
Maybe this is what Gamergate 2.0 is all about. We don't know yet.
Yep.
I think that's it for me.
Yeah, I mean, nothing else that I played enough to really get into, but I don't know. Obviously, the Steam Spring Sale is on right now, so if you weren't aware, lots of interesting stuff that you might want to check out. I've been buying a bunch already, so
All right. So next week, not sure if there'll be a whole lot of news to talk about, but two major releases this Friday. Rise of the Ronin which I assume I will be buying, and also Dragon's Dogma 2. The character creator launched for that. I did download it, have not tried using it yet. I wish I had time to at least play some of the first Dragon's Dogma, but I don't think that's going to happen, which is also on PlayStation Plus, I believe, right now, uh, for the monthly games. So hopefully get to dabble a bit in both of those games. For sure, Rise of the Ronin. But I think is Princess Peach this Friday as well? The final.
Yeah, it is. And I was going to say there's a few other things too. Alone in the Dark comes out this week. I haven't heard anything about that, but
that the one with David Harbour?
Yep.
Okay, I played the demo and it was not doing much for me.
MLB The Show 24 is out this week, and Lightyear Frontier, which is on Game Pass, and then Horizon Forbidden West on PC. Oof. So a lot of stuff coming out, and I don't know if I'm going to be playing any of it. Maybe
I'll be playing Rise of the Ronin for sure. I cannot wait. Unless the reviews are absolute garb. But I think I'm going to get sucked into a pre-order no matter what, so I can play at midnight. So we'll have some thoughts on that and maybe some megatons to talk about. You never know.
Let's hope. It's been always dry news-wise for the last month.
Big time. You can watch us at youtube.com/GameJunk. You can like, subscribe, comment. We check that stuff, so please do that. We don't say it very often, but maybe you're one of these kids that plays video games and everyone's talking about that Dune Part 2 movie and you saw it. We do a film podcast as well, which I'm sure most of you know, but Film Junk is the film podcast, and patreon.com/Film Junk to check out some primo content there, including a poll about pillows. And Sean is on X, Film Junk, Andrew, My Angry Commute, and Equilibrium Sis. Anything I'm forgetting here?
No, I think that's it.
All right. Well, thank you for listening and or watching. We'll see you next week. Bye-bye.